128 players enter a major. 127 do not win the major.
Yeah.
You do the math as it goes down the smaller draws. For the vast majority of players that don't win the title, what is the hour like from shaking hands at the net? You don't win the match, you shake hands at the net. What's the next hour like? What happens?
So once you become a well-oiled machine of losing, what happens is my process was like, we talked about this earlier, like we don't need to discuss emotional things when I'm in an emotional state. You're probably going to get erratic behavior. You're going to get things said that are probably true and felt in the moment and also add no value to the conversation. So my team, off the court, Dougie Spreen, who was my trainer, was probably calling Karen Piner, who ran all the logistics for, she worked for my agency, and then later on personally, but would call and say, okay, flights, is there a flight tomorrow? If we're in London, I always wanted to leave. I was not ever going to be one that stayed a couple days. And so there's this whole circus that goes on, canceling hotel rooms if we have it booked for however many nights, figuring out how to get out of town. I needed to be kind of left alone past my coach coming in and saying, tough one. Maybe they could tell if I was like really pissed, they would leave it. If I was like, kind of like, man, like they could probably read the room a little bit. Sometimes I could have a conversation then. Sometimes I was pissed. Sometimes I was, there's a too good reaction. You lose to somebody that you shouldn't, and there's like, you can't find it. Those are the most depressing ones when you have like a 2 or 3 week buildup where you can't find it. You try to do press. I tended to do it very, very quickly when the option of leaving, and I didn't have to like get my body working because I wasn't going to play for 2 weeks. I could do that back at the house, later before we left. So it's basically just a lot of like logistics and emotion for that hour afterwards. Not all losses are the same. Therefore, not all hours are the same. The consistent parts were, let's figure out the logistics. How do we move heaven and earth, 10 check bags, a training room that we have to fit into a bag, packing that up versus what time we have to leave tomorrow, and are there enough seats on the flight? And if not, let's figure out something. So those calls are made without me knowing. At a certain point, they're coached and trained. And so my part was just kind of going through the motions of being professional when I was pissed, just wanting to get the hell out of wherever I was.